If you're like me and you're tired at the end of the day and you don't want to spend a lot of time cooking, maybe getting a fried chicken sandwich is right up your alley. But looking at these fried chicken sandwiches, they're really expensive. $9 is a lot of money. Let's check another website. This website, also $9 for a fried chicken sandwich. And this one is $12 for a fried chicken sandwich. No, that's too much. Let me show you how to make a fried chicken sandwich that looks like this, costs less than $5, and can be done with a little over 30 minutes of active cooking time. Let's make a Vietnamese-styled fried chicken sandwich. Hello, let's get started here. The first thing you're going to need are 8 boneless, skinless chicken thighs, part of a box of Mochico flour, a little less than half, 8 brioche buns, 3 Crab's fish sauce, specifically this one, some sugar, some plain white sugar, and a curry powder or curry paste of your liking. This is one I really like. This is your core. What you'll need next are extras: broccoli sprouts, sriracha, mayonnaise, and even katsu sauce are all just toppings. You also need a high temperature frying oil like peanut oil or sunflower oil to fill your fryer. So, in terms of equipment you'll need a couple mixing bowls, even though I placed only one, some kind of heavy vessel for frying your chicken, and some tongs or a spider to pull it out. Of course, a fork to mix things up, and let me see if I forgot some. Oh, yes. You're also going to need a tablespoon and a third a cup. Maybe it's a quarter cup I'm looking at. I think it's quarter cup. Okay. Alright, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to start making the marinade. This is the first step. It should be done the night before you decide to make your chicken. Yeah, just go ahead and open it up for no reason at all because you're nervous. Alright, let's actually get to the marinade. Here, go ahead and pour in some fish sauce. Yeah, so those are quarter cups. I was right. And if you decide to do this in a larger batch, or a smaller batch even, just remember that for every 2 things of fish sauce you put in, you must then put in 3 parts of sugar. I also don't recommend pouring it over the marinade like that, because if you slip, then you've really messed up. Get to this. This is the main flavoring agent besides the fish sauce and sugar. It provides like the unique taste, so make sure you pick a really good curry powder that you like. Of course, make sure you mix well. It'll be a little grainy even though you've mixed it quite a bit, so don't worry too much about that. Just toss the chicken in. Once you've got all the chicken in there, just like that, you're going to want to make sure you mix it thoroughly. So get your hands in there, don't be afraid. Really massage the marinade in thoroughly to make sure it gets into every little nook and cranny, because it really makes the meat more tender, more juicy, and more flavorful. All very important things when you're deep frying chicken. Okay, when you're done, give your hands a nice wash. We don't want any issues with salmonella. Then cover and put in a refrigerated area. It's winter right now, so I just toss it outside and don't worry about it. Alright, the next morning, or the next evening, afternoon, whenever you decide to make the chicken, go ahead and pull it out. It should be significantly darker than when you put it in. Some of the fat should look yellow. That's perfectly normal. Go ahead and set that aside, because what we're going to do next is we're going to prepare our oil. So for the vessel that I use, I need about 1.5 of these of oil, which is about 48 fluid ounces of oil. When you're filling your own vessel with oil, make sure you never fill it over halfway, because when you put, whatever you're frying in, you'll displace some of the oil, so you can spill over, and hot oil spilling over is really dangerous. Yeah, and then just put the oil in and heat until it's around 350 degrees. That's a good point for it. In the meantime, we're going to prepare the batter, which is just literally whatever mochiko flour you have left. I was worried that I didn't have enough, so I cut it with a little bit of normal flour. Or, I don't know, all-purpose flour is what it's called. Go ahead and toss 1, 2, 3 in there. You'll see that at the end I have the exact same amount of flour left over as 3 tablespoons, so it was kind of a mute point to add that, but it's better safe than sorry. Oh. Okay. Whoa, man. Yeah, come back over and realize you forgot to turn the oil on. Well, it is what it is. Alright, so we're going to set up our station here. So here's how it's going to go. Step 1, pull the chicken out. Step 2, toss it in the flour. Make sure it's all coated. And step 3, it goes directly into the oil. Yeah, let me just move the camera over. All right, here we go. So now that the oil is hot enough, all right, grab your tongs, whoop, lift it up, toss it in there, give it a good mix. If you only use one hand to mix, then you'll end up with less gummy fingers. When you fry things, you tend to get really these clumpy gummy fingers that make it really awful. Yeah. And when you do this, you really do want to make sure you get as much of the flour on as possible. Really get it in all the crevices, because it's what gives it such a nice crunch. Once you're done, or you think you've got as much flour packed on that as you possibly can, give it a thorough shake to shake off excess, and gently, very gently, drop it away from you into the fryer, just like that. All right, and then you're going to fry until it's a little darker than golden brown. When you're frying, you can really only fit like a couple pieces in, and you shouldn't overcrowd it because it'll lower the cooking temperature. And you may end up with soggy chicken that's not crunchy, or raw chicken, which is just as bad. The more chicken you fry, the cheaper the cost is per unit of chicken that you do make. And look, that's a nice golden brown piece right there. And I always make sure I have friends or family around to help me eat this when I make it, because it's a lot of fried food, and you can always like add in some other things like tempura, or maybe batter up some shrimp and toss them in. It's nice to have a lot of people around to use up and really justify all that oil, even though it does come at a reasonable cost. And there we go. With that, we've done the last one. We'll give that a little dredge. Come on. There we go. Gently set it in. And then you can't really reuse this flour, so it's nice to try and get as close as you can. And you can make a sauce with that marinade, but I don't recommend it. Alright, from here, I'm just gonna clean up my station a little bit, make sure it looks nice. Boom. And another tip is to just gently rotate the chicken every now and then. You don't really need to flip it if it's fully submerged, but doing this will prevent it from getting darker brown spots that are actually a little burnt. You'll notice them, they'll form, it'll happen to you, but just try and move them around to avoid it. Yeah, other things to look out for when you're frying, a little troubleshooting, is if you find your pieces are burning and they're still raw inside, you probably have gone over 350. A good way to tell if you're sitting at a nice frying temperature is if you put it in and it bubbles moderately. It's not like a ferocious boil, or it's not like a tiny sputtering of bubbles. Just like a nice amount of bubbles. The more you fry, the more you'll get a feel for what temperatures are and what works for you and what's good. But for now, just try and shoot for that medium heat. If you fry hot, it'll end up crisper, but you may get raw stuff inside. It doesn't really take that long to cook these. 5 minutes in oil should be enough. All right, and now that we've got all the chicken out, we can just go bring it over here and show you. Look at that, 8 pieces of nicely fried chicken. If you plan on serving it to people later, you can just toss them into a really hot oil for like 10 seconds and you'll reheat it completely. But let's bring it down to 1 unit so we can work with it. All right, let's move the camera over a little bit. Boom, set it down right there. All right, now let's get into the most fun and interesting part of making a sandwich, the assembly. Okay, let's get a fork, a knife, just some of the basics. Have a listen to this. Yeah, that is super crispy. Alright, so now we're going to pull some brioche buns out and heat them up in some way. You can use an oven, you can use a butter and pan, or you can use a toaster like I do. All those strategies are valid. I prefer a pan or the oven when you have time. Alright, now we're going to get our condiments out. I like mayonnaise and I like katsu sauce. I also like a little green on my sandwich so I don't feel as terrible. You can use Kelpie mayonnaise, which I recommend, which is that Japanese mayonnaise instead of normal. And dang, my bun got stuck. Don't do this at home. I stick a metal knife in the toaster, but I do unplug it, to be fair. But just don't do that. It's a poor etiquette and poor practice. Boom, there you go, bun. Get a nice tablespoon of mayonnaise, just kind of smear it around. Boom. Then we're going to get some katsu sauce, about a tablespoon. Oops, let's move that out of the way. Give it a nice smear on the bun. Oh, I don't know where that knife goes. I'm going to put the chicken on top. And then we're going to put just a sprig of these broccoli sprouts. They taste good. They're healthy, a little fiber, a little greens, makes you feel less terrible. So, nothing bad to say about that. Alright, and once you're done with that, put the condiments away and you're done. You've made it, a Vietnamese-styled fried chicken sandwich. And there it is. Thanks for watching.